Welcome to another tier maker, and this one's movie related, but with a little bit of a twist. I've been playing a lot of a game called Vampire Survivors lately, and this is a ranking of vampire movies. Now it's a list, again, quick warning, tier maker has lists that are made by other people. I didn't make this list. I'm sure there might be some vampire movies that are on this that I haven't seen, and I'm sure there's going to be some that should be on the list that aren't. But we don't worry about that too much. I think this was the best list that I could find in terms of having a good selection of older and newer, and I really like that. So I figured this would be a good list to rank, so let's dive in. All right, here's the rules. Now I always set this up the same way because I can tweak these, the rankings themselves. So I always make sure we have an S, and that's green all the way down to red, which is F, and then haven't seen. Now, for the films that I have seen or I haven't seen, the biggest thing I'm working on here is how much you enjoy it. All right, is it an enjoyable film? It's not, how does it show vampires? Does it show them correctly? Like, I'm not worried about that. Holy water, no reflections, stake in the heart, whatever, right? Was it a fun movie or not? Did I enjoy it? That's what we really care about here. So in this ranking, I'll talk a little bit about the ones I've seen, but I'm not going to sweat too much about the accuracy of vampires or anything like that. That's not what we're here to do. We're just here to rank them in terms of if we enjoyed them or not. We being me. Now, if you're in the chat right now watching this live on Twitch, throw in your opinions whenever I start talking about them, and let me know what you think. Or if you're watching this on YouTube on a replay, what's your favorite vampire movie on this list? And is there one that didn't make the list down here that you think should have been? All right, I'm gonna rip through and do something. It's gonna be going through and here's the ones I haven't seen, so let's do that. I have not seen the Fright Night remake. I heard it's decent. I have not seen it. Queen of the Damned, have not seen it. The Hunger, I need to see that, but I haven't. Near Dark. Y'all are going to hate me for this. I have not seen Near Dark. It's a cult classic. I'm going to go in right now. I have a Google sheet tracking movies that I need to watch. I'm going to add that to the list. So Near Dark. For some reason, that is a blind spot. There's a chance I may have seen it when I was younger, and I just don't remember it. So I can't say that I've seen it. All right, all the Twilights are going up here. The fact that they're even on this list breaks my heart. All. Are there other Twilights on here? Is it just the two? Is that John Carpenter's Vampires? Modern Vampires. I have not seen Modern Vampires. I've not seen The Addiction. Brides of Dracula, I've not seen. Byzantium, I have not seen that. The Klaus Kinski Nosferatu, I have. The Fearless Vampire Killers, that's one I've always wanted to see and I haven't. Vamp, I haven't seen that either. This list is kind of big all of a sudden, I'm sorry. Dracula Dead and Loving It. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Leslie. I have not seen your movie. Priest is barely a Dracula movie. That Dracula is kind of cheesy from the 80s. I have not seen it. Kronos. Guillermo del Toro. I'm sorry, I haven't seen it. Dracula Untold, I haven't seen it. Dracula 2000, I haven't seen it. Dracula's Daughter, I haven't seen. What? The Vampire Lovers, I haven't seen it. What's my problem? There's a lot of movies in here I haven't seen. The Horror of Dracula, I haven't seen. There's probably one more in here I haven't. A Girl Walks Home Alone at Night, haven't seen it. Innocent Blood, haven't seen it. Oh my god, there's too many movies in here I haven't seen. I'm sorry. But I've seen the rest. I have the Dracula 2000 soundtrack on CD. Who's the best band on it? And is it Power Man 5000? Let's take a look real quick. Dracula 2000 soundtrack. I have a feeling Power Man 5000 is on it. Power Man 5000! I called it! You know why I know that? Because I was working in a record store when that album came out, and I remember someone in the store threw it on. Disturbed, Slayer, Bloodline. Yeah, that's a good track. System of a Down, The Metro. That's a cover tune that they do. Damn good cover. It's also on Steel's album, I think. Maybe I'm wrong. Avoid the Light by Pantera. Wait, have I even heard that song? Static X. That's Taproot. Remember when they were supposed to be the next big thing? Ugh. Okay, where were we? It's not on Steel's album. I have a CD that has a bunch of stuff pulled from singles and EPs and things like that, and Metro's on it. I didn't know where it was from. A friend of mine burned it for me a long time ago. So, okay, we're getting off topic. Let's get in, because there's a lot of movies I haven't seen. I'll admit, don't give a shit about Twilight, but Near Dark is one I have to see. And then I also want to put Kronos up there because I want to say that's one of Guillermo del Toro's. I want to say that's one of Guillermo del Toro's first films, and I've not seen it. I've also heard good things about The Hunger, so let's put all those up at the top. You know what? There's a vampire movie that came out last year that was on my top 10 list for the year, and I can't remember the name of it. It's kind of indie. It's two brothers and a sister living together, and the younger brother has vampirism, and they're basically, the older brother and older sister are serial killers because they're trying to feed their brother. It's very realistic and kind of dark, and the kid is like 14 or 15, and he's super pale and having trouble being out in the sun and everything, but he's like, I want to play with outside. I want to go outside. And they're like, you can't go outside. What the hell is the name of that movie? It was really good. It was on Amazon Prime Video, actually. Okay, let's get started. Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Okay, so this started the TV show, obviously. The movie was first. It was fun. I'm gonna give it a B, maybe more like a B-. It's a fun movie. It's campy, intentionally campy and fun. And I never really watched the series, but the movie was fun. It had Luke Perry in it as well. Blackula. Oh my god, this movie. So I'm putting it as a C. But just as a blaxploitation film, and just it's fun to say Blackula. It's not a good movie. It's not a good movie. I've seen some blaxploitation films. I'm a big fan of Dolomite. I recently watched Shaft for the first time, the original. Right? I've seen the 2001 with Christian Bale, and I was told to skip the newest one, which I watched the trailer for it and I went, yeah, I'm good. He literally cannot touch grass. Yeah, he can't. Blackula is kind of funny, but it's also, yeah, it's not that great. Lost Boys. Come on. Lost Boys has the perfect mix of horror and comedy. Evil Dead 2 probably has the best mix of horror and comedy, but Lost Boys was a fantastic 80s, the look and feel of that movie. Joel Schumacher, I'm not going to say it's his best film, but it's probably his most stylized, and anytime Lost Boys is on, I'll sit and watch it. Like, if it's on cable, it's like, oh, Lost Boys is on, I'll sit and watch it, and it's great. I love that movie. I love Lost Boys. If you have not seen The Lost Boys, you owe it to yourself to give it a look. It's fun 80s camp. Think, because Corey Haim and Corey Feldman are both in it, and they're a good bit of the comedic value in it. God, I love that movie. I love Lost Boys. Go watch it. Blade. All right, so we have Blade. We have Blade 2 also on here. Blade 2. Speaking of Guillermo del Toro, Blade Trinity is not on here. Yep, no, there it is. There it is. Okay, let's litigate the Blade films. So, this is tough because Blade 1 is S tier. It was a Marvel film that was R-rated, and it's an S tier, but for me, it's low S. Because the pacing in the film is a bit of a problem. They did a lot with the budget that they had, and as a world building film, it's incredible. Blade 2 is better than Blade 1. Blade 2 was assured. It was a little bit more money. The CGI on the characters flipping around. There's a fight when Blade fights two characters that are breaking into their garage, and the CGI isn't great when they're flipping around in the air and stuff. You're like, that doesn't look right. That's like one of the only negative things I can say about it. The story is fantastic. The reason that they have him working with the vampires to fight a bigger threat, so good. So good. And the makeup effects on these vampires, the new breed of vampires that are feeding on other vampires. The makeup with the mouth, the way it opens up. And the dude that they cast as the main leader of those new vampires, he's awesome in it. The dude in the hoodie. I love Blade 2. I saw it in the theater twice. Blade 1, for me, is almost kind of high A, but it's more like low S. Blade Trinity. Listen, it's not a bad movie, but it was really disappointing. And Wesley Snipes is barely even in it. It's mostly about Ryan Reynolds and Jessica Alba. Oh God, who's in Blade Trinity? What's her name? I can see her face. Jessica Biel. I was close. Jessica. They're perfectly fine in it. They're fun to watch. Parker Posey has a lot of fun chewing the scenery. But the original Dracula vampire, like, that was so fucking stupid. It really was. It was terrible. Why? You killed the franchise. They're having to completely reboot it. They could have made a fourth film if this movie would have been half of a And David Goyer is a great screenwriter, and he's an okay director. This movie was not really good in either angle, unfortunately. I have a box set, a Blu-ray of all three of the films, and Trinity is still shrink-wrapped, unfortunately. But I can watch Blade 1 and Blade 2 once a week, and I probably still wouldn't get tired of it. Okay, Let Me In and Let the Right One In. Now, I've seen both of these, let me tell you. Let the Right One In is a Norwegian film? Swedish film? I'm fact-checking myself on the fly here because I'm curious. Swedish. It is part vampirism and part first love, like late grade school, early middle school, like middle school age characters. It is so well cast. It is so well acted. It is such a good movie. Let the Right One In, the original Swedish film. This for me is a high A, and it's the mood in that film is so good. Now, there's an American remake, and when I heard they were making a remake, I was like, why? The original's fantastic. I'll be honest, the remake is a solid B. It is, the mood is there. I want to say it's the same director. Let's take a look real quick. I think they had the same director. No. Oh, they also directed Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy. Well, that's awesome. Okay, so they didn't make the remake, but I'll be honest, the remake, if you've only seen the English language remake, it's got Chloe Grace Moretz and Taylor Smith McPhee. I can't pronounce his name. That he was the kid in what's wrong with me? My brain's not working. The Road. It's really well cast. It looks the part. The story is very close to the original. Almost enough to where you think, why even remake it? But for people who don't like to watch movies with subtitles and they wanted to see an updated version of it, the plot is so similar. Like there's a little couple of tweaks in it, but they don't ruin it. It's actually a really good movie. But I got to put it down a little bit lower because it's not the original. It is fortunately still shrink wrapped. Yeah, Blade Trinity. Sorry. From Dusk Till Dawn. Okay. Here's my problem with From Dusk Till Dawn. I'm gonna put it as a C. And listen. Let me speak. Okay. I know you're getting angry right now. I'm not trying to make you angry. I'm just telling you my personal opinion. It might not be popular. the twist that this movie takes after all the bank robbery and the violence and all that stuff, it goes from a Tarantino type film to a Robert Rodriguez type film, which makes sense because Tarantino is in it. A young George Clooney. Salma Hayek, has she ever looked better than she looked in this film? Pouring the shot down her leg? Hello? It's a fun movie, good effects. It's just... Okay, alright, fine. It's a low B. Alright. I talked myself into it. It's been a while since I've seen this movie. I could do without the first 20 minutes or so. And the two lead characters of Clooney and Tarantino are so unlikable. And they're bank robbers. I get it, right? But man, I would have liked it if they had just a little bit of humanity in them. And Clooney, there's a hint of it in the movie, but I'm just not. Nah. It's not a bad movie. If it's on, I'll watch it. But I'm skipping around. I'm not staying on it. Sorry. The original Fright Night. It's pretty good. Kinda like it's a C for me now. I think back then when I watched it, when I was younger, I liked it more. And then I watched it again when I was in college. Like, oh, let's watch Fright Night. And I went, I haven't watched it since, I'll be honest. I hear the remake's pretty good. Haven't seen it. Underworld. Okay. Underworld is a vampire movie, kind of. I will say this. Underworld is a high C. Because Kate Beckinsale is awesome in the role, and somehow they got Bill Nighy to be like the king shit vampire. Like, I don't know how they got some of these people to be in this movie, but Scott Speedman is not a good actor, especially in this movie, and pacing is a huge problem. First 30 minutes, incredible. World building, awesome. And the fact that this started as a student project, and then that director, Len Wiseman, ended up going on to not only make that and a ton of other Underworld films, all have been pretty profitable. Then he married Kate Beckinsale for a while. Hello. That's a pretty good run. So we'll give him some credit. I think it's a high C, but the trailer is so much better than the movie. When you watch the trailer, you're like, I am there opening night. And I went opening weekend and I went, there's like over 2 hours of this. It's really not paced well at all. Yeah, Underworld started as a student he shot like a short film, and I think he used a couple of shots from it. First one, 2003. Music first. Stylish gothic visuals, icy English composure, and Kate Beckinsale's performance. Didn't it start as a freaking student project? Am I thinking of something else? I might be wrong. I might be wrong on that. I'm probably confusing it with something else. Len Wiseman, when he was in film school, though, he was trying to make something that was similar to that, and maybe I'm getting my wires crossed. Nosferatu, and this is the original. So let's do this, because we've got Nosferatu the Vampire, which is like 1980, Klaus Kinski, and then we've got the Max Schreck one from 1930 something. And by the way, while we're doing that, let's also include Shadow of the Vampire, which is a fake making of the original Nosferatu. The original Nosferatu is a silent film. It is dark. Even now, when you watch it, you're like, whoa, this is creepy. Like, it's creepy now. It's got to be a high A. It has to be. It's a classic. For good reason. The makeup in it, and that's the joke in the movie Shadow of the Vampire, which I'm going to put as a low B. I really do like that movie. It got nominated for a couple of awards. I want to say Best Screenplay and Best Supporting Actor for Willem Dafoe, who plays Max Schreck. who plays Nosferatu. Their whole conceit with that is that that the guy who's playing Nosferatu, that he's not using makeup, that he actually looks like that. And the whole thing is like people from the cast, from the crew, start disappearing, and they're like, what's happening? That he's killing off the crew. And it's a fun movie. It's a really fun movie. If you haven't seen Shadow of the Vampire, I suggest you do it as a double feature. Watch the original Nosferatu. It's only like 75 minutes long or something, and then watch Shadow of the Vampire. It will crack you up because you will see the way the production made it look exactly like the sets when they made that movie, the original. So give it a look. The 80s one, Klaus Kinski's really good in it, but as a movie, it's kind of it's kind of creepy, but it's very early 80s, and we'll just leave it at that. John Carpenter's Vampires. I'm sorry. We'll put it as a C. It's one of my least favorite John Carpenter movies. I'm sorry. I know some people really defend that movie, and it's kind of fun, but not really. Kind of not. Great rental, though. I worked in a video store when that came out. Renting like crazy. 30 Days of Night. So the fun with this was it takes place in Alaska, so it's snow and blood everywhere. Pretty neat. Kind of vampire-y. But then there's other creatures too. Look, once was fine. Once was enough. It's a C. I respect him for trying something different. I need to put Blackula further down. I respect him for trying something different, but it's not that great of a script, unfortunately. Only Lovers Left Alive. So this is Wim Wenders. Jim Jarmusch and Wim Wenders. I always mix the two up, and I don't know why, because they both have double letters, JJ, WW, and I have the same detached feeling to most Wim Wenders films that I have from Jim Jarmusch films. There's a couple of each of them that I'm like, yeah, I like that movie. I always confuse the two. So this is a Jim Jarmusch film, and I'll be honest, I couldn't have given a shit about this movie. It's literally two people moping around in their apartment. Oh god, I hated this movie. I'm sorry. And you know what? If you want to defend Only Lovers Left Alive, go ahead. Either do it in the chat, post a comment if you're watching this on YouTube. Go ahead and defend the movie. Is it a bad movie? No. And hey, Tilda Swinton proves she can do anything, right? She's an incredible actor. God, I didn't care about this movie at all. I could not wait for it to be over. Abraham Lincoln, Vampire Hunter. It's way too long. Like the last 20 minutes, you're like, get on with it. I love the setup though. The third act is basically just your standard action shit, and it's not that well done. It's okay. I just love the fact that they made the movie. I thought it was a joke. I saw the trailer and I'm like, is this a joke? Is this an April Fool's joke or something? The movie wasn't bad. It kind of reminds me also of Pride and Prejudice and Zombies, which is another one of those where there's a book written for it. I actually bought it from Melissa and she read it and she goes, yeah, okay, that was something that I read. This is similar, and it was kind of fun, but the first half of the movie is way better than the second half. The action in it is okay. Bram Stoker's Dracula. So this is a fun movie. It's campy. It's so over the top. Calling it Bram Stoker's Dracula though is kind of weird. But it's a high B because it's the production on it, the money that they spent. Keanu Reeves. It's Coppola. It's a high B because of the camp value. If you're not into some camp, get out. Don't even watch it. Don't even watch it. What We Do in the Shadows. Oh man, this is tough. It's S. It's S tier completely, but it's straight comedy, and comparing it to these other 3 films almost doesn't seem fair because you've got a very moody drama, action movies, and a comedy. They are 3 totally different films or genres of film. Personally, I've got to find a place to put this, and I can't put it above Lost Boys, and I can't put it above Blade 2, but I'm going to put it above Blade. If you haven't seen What We Do in the Shadows, and by the way, I was sleeping on that TV series. The first 2 seasons were on TV on FX, and I didn't watch them. And then a coworker friend of mine was like, "You love the movie, right?" And I'm like, "Yes, it's like one of my top 10 favorite films of the last decade." I had a list. I made a list of my favorite films of the last decade. It was in there. It's incredible. I've seen it like 5 times. And she was like, "What is your problem?" I was like, "Well, the TV show can't be as good as the movie." But I said that about Fargo, and the TV series for Fargo is also really good. Same thing here. Totally different characters, but then there's some throwbacks to the movie. Without spoiling it, the producers and the writers worked on the movie. It's all above board. It is all hilarious. The casting is flawless, just like the movie. It's fantastic. All right, if you haven't seen What We Do in the Shadows, it is genuinely hilarious. Salem's Lot. This movie creeped me out as a kid. I'll be honest. It really creeped me out as a kid. I haven't watched it in a long time, though. It didn't scare me as much when I got a little older. I think there's a reason why Stephen King doesn't do a lot of vampire stuff. Maybe it's because everyone else does vampires. It's kind of here with Fright Night. In fact, it could be a double feature with Fright Night. It's creepier than Fright Night, I will say. Love that cover art too, by the way. It's awesome. Nicolas Cage, Vampire's Kiss. Funny, campy. On a list of Nick Cage movies, it's way at the bottom, though. I'm sorry. It's a D. I love my boy Nick Cage. When you name Nick Cage movies, you have to spit a lot of movies out before you get to this one. I mean, you just do. No named piece of crap in chat says, "I wish I could see What We Do in the Shadows for the first time again." I don't think I can sum it up any better than you just did. That movie, the first time I watched it, the way I was laughing is, it's rare when I watch a comedy that makes me laugh that hard for that long, that consistently. So many of the jokes land so well. And it's done like a fake documentary, but it's done in a way that's not, because it's about a different topic. That's not The Office. God, The Office. People sitting around in an office. Yeah, I've done that for my whole life. I don't want to see other people sitting around in an office and then like fake documentary. It's not interesting to me. I don't like The Office. I watched the British version. I kind of liked it. And then I watched some of the US ones and I'm like, I get why people like this. I just don't. But you take that format and it's Trailer Park Boys, weird ass characters, funny ass characters, and nothing against characters in The Office in the US version. I'm sure they're funny, but the setting, the trailer park, all the crimes they're trying to do. And then What We Do in the Shadows is another one where it's just all about perfect. The movie's just about perfect. Thirst. So Thirst is Park Chan-wook, and Park Chan-wook has made some incredible films. This is not one of them, and I'm sorry, it's not. Good setup, not a good payoff, and I'm not going to spoil anything else. But Park Chan-wook made Oldboy. I have bought a lifetime supply of stock in Park Chan-wook, and I will watch pretty much anything that he does until he stops making movies because of Oldboy. And Sympathy for Mr. Vengeance and Sympathy for Lady Vengeance. That trilogy, unbelievable. A few left here. So Priest. I will say this. For a low-budget movie with Paul Bettany as the lead, Priest is surprisingly watchable, even though most of it takes place in one. You could tell they had very little budget. The last set piece at the end is actually not bad. It's a C. but it's a really low C. Like I can't put it above Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter. Van Helsing. I was a Blockbuster buyer when Universal brought this to us. They showed it to us a week before it was going to come out in theaters. And yeah, I told my rep, Nancy, I was like, Nancy, I'm so sorry. She just kind of rolled her eyes. I was like, I don't know how you're going to sell that. I mean, the effects are kind of neat, but oof. Like, it didn't know what it wanted to be. Is it campy? Is it good action? The sets were okay, but sometimes they weren't. And here's Kate Beckinsale again in a vampire movie right after Underworld, right? Wait, Van Helsing was before Underworld, right? Yeah, 2004. Yeah, it was right after Underworld. I'm sorry, Van Helsing is so bad. I'll put it ahead of Only Lovers Left Alive, if only because there's some action in it. Ooh, trust me, if you haven't seen Van Helsing, don't. Interview with the Vampire. This movie is so slow and dull, and it looks really cool. And the fact that they got Tom Cruise and Brad Pitt both in it, it's kind of weird that they both did it. It's Anne Rice, right? Wrote the book. I've seen this twice, and the second time I went, why am I watching this again? I'm going to put it a little bit below Blade Trinity, but it's... Hey, there are people who love that movie, and I'm not saying it's a bad movie. Just me personally, couldn't give a shit. Once Bitten, Jim Carrey. Oh my god, this movie's hilarious. It's so campy and weird and funny. And Lauren Bacall is in it too. It's a low B, but I'm telling you, Once Bitten, if you haven't seen Once Bitten, Jim Carrey's almost unrecognizable. He's so young in it still. I'm telling you. Once Bitten's funny. And it even kind of holds up now for 80s camp and 80s cheese. All right, lastly, we have two left. Daybreakers. So this is Willem Dafoe and Ethan Hawke, and it is actually really good. Like, surprisingly good. If you haven't seen it, it's kind of an indie. Daybreakers is good. I'm going to put it kind of up in here, honestly. If you haven't seen Daybreakers, give it a look. I will say the last 10 minutes or so, I would have liked a couple of tweaks here and there, but by and large, it's a really good movie. Great setup, good world building, and they did what they could with the budget. The budget wasn't much, but it's a very underrated movie. Daybreakers, give it a look. Lastly, I wanted to save this for last because it is the original. Boris Karloff. And I have to say, it's still pretty good today. I don't think it's as good as Nosferatu. Nosferatu has a level of creepiness, and I think it's the way that it's filmed and the fact that it is low budget, where Dracula was a Universal Monsters type production. They had a little more money to spend. The sets were better. Something about Nosferatu looks like a found film almost because of how old it is. I want to say Nosferatu is older than Dracula? 1922. Oh, and the one that with Klaus Kinski I said was 80, it was 79. Dracula. 1931. So Nosferatu is an older movie than Dracula. And honestly, given a choice, I'm watching Nosferatu again. But you cannot downplay the importance of the original Dracula. It is so iconic. But for me, I would rather watch Let the Right One In or Nosferatu or any of these other ones ahead of that. And that's my personal opinion. So, what's your opinion? What do you think? Which of these is S tier for you? I'm guessing most people are going to think Lost Boys and What We Do in the Shadows are going to be S tier. Maybe the first Blade. Maybe you put the first Blade higher. I don't know. Maybe you don't think the second Blade should be up there. Personally, I think it's a better movie. It's definitely a tighter script. Is my putting Nosferatu ahead of Dracula blasphemy? I don't know. I don't think so. If you watch them both, I mean, it's a good double feature. I would also throw in Interview with the Vampire. Not Interview with the Vampire, Shadow of the Vampire. There's too many damn vampires around here. Anyway, this has been fun. And this is my ranking. And if you disagree, well, let me know about it. If you agree, let me know about it. Throw it in the chat right now if you're watching this, or put it in the YouTube comments. Otherwise, this is a pretty good list, right? Was there anything missing? Other than the fact that there's quite a few vampire movies down there that I haven't seen. And I'll be honest. Vampires as a character, as a archetype for characters, for bad guys, creatures, etc. I'm not the biggest fan. But I thought this was a good list, and I thought it would be fun to do. Because I've seen more than my share, but there are a lot down here I haven't. But honestly, am I missing anything by not seeing Dracula 2000 or Dracula Untold? Have I missed anything? I do need to look at The Addiction. I've not even heard of that movie. Like, really, I've not even heard of that. I need to take a peek at it. Anyway, thank you all so much for hanging out and watching tonight. I appreciate it. So long. Have a wonderful evening. Or morning, if you're watching this in the morning. I hope you have a great day.